welcome to the interview, Dr. Sneha.
Thank you,
Let's
Lavanya.
start it. So, can you introduce yourself briefly?
And I'm Dr. Sneha, and I am a storyteller, a writer, and a voice actor. And I have written many books for children, which are reading level books. And I have a podcast. I have been running a podcast for last 6 years, and it goes by the name Storyteller. And this podcast is essentially for children, but obviously like whoever feels that they are still child at heart, they can also enjoy the storytelling.
So, can you tell us something about storytellers?
Well, I conceptualized storytelling, as I said, 6 years back. At that time, my daughter was 1 year old, and I had this anxiety, the parent anxiety, that how will I keep my child away from screen. So I was always fond of writing stories. So I had been writing stories for like 3 4 years before that. So I thought that, oh, how about writing stories and recording them, and having an audio platform instead of a video platform, so that the child can just listen to the stories. And I was always very, I won't say I'm anti YouTube, but I am not very fond of YouTube. I believe that when a child definitely needs audio, video both, but the imagination of the child, it gets hampered when they are watching anything on video. When it's audio, they can always imagine their own characters, how they look, how they like what they are doing right now as the story goes. So that was how Storytopic came into being.
So, can you tell us what is a podcast?
A podcast, like YouTube, YouTube is a video platform, right? So people make videos, people make reels, and you can watch them, you can listen them, you can watch them. And in a similar way, a podcast is essentially an audio thing. It's like an audio reel, you can say. So you only listen. It's like radio, but there is a difference between radio and a podcast. Radio is till now, till this point, radio has been very live. Radio has been live, a live platform, right? So, podcast is something that you can listen to anytime, anywhere. So it's a recorded thing. So that's what a podcast is.
So, how did you get your inspiration for stories?
I think I have always been very creative. Yeah, since childhood. I started writing कविताएं, हिंदी की कविताएं, when I was in grade 7. So I just like ideas flow and you write, and this is how you get into writing. So writing was always there. I had never thought about recording, but when I was in my masters, so my friends used to tell me, "Oh, you have a wonderful voice. You should become an RJ." They always told me that तेरी आवाज़ RJ जैसी है, तुझे RJ बनना चाहिए. And from there, I thought that yes, I should do something different. So यहाँ से ये stories का concept.
Okay, so what is so special about storytelling that you like?
I think when I started, it was, I would say, a very amateur thing, of course, because I was also learning. And over past these years, I have learned a lot, and Storytopic has grown every year and with every story. So the best part about Storytopic is that it connects well with the children, and the proof is the feedback that I receive from parents as well as from the children. So that connectivity is there. It's not that you are just narrating the stories. You get into the character, you feel the story, and then you tell the story. So I think the presentation and how children are able to relate all those stories with their real lives, that's what makes it different.
So, what are the challenges you faced while starting stories?
Challenges. The first challenge, I think, when I started, the this field of podcasting, it was unknown. It was unknown, Even before COVID time, nobody had heard about this term podcast. I started out in 2018, and I had no experience, I had no knowledge how you record it, what kind of equipments you use, and how to edit it. There are softwares for it, but I had no help. So I did it single-handedly, everything. I learned everything. In fact, I made my own website without taking anybody's help. I made it myself. So yes, I mean, I would say I started from scratch. And when you start from scratch, of course, it is difficult. It is always very difficult. But then you learn the most when you start from scratch.
So, uh, why did you choose audio storytelling?
As I said, I always thought that this culture of storytelling, it has been there not just in Indian culture, it has been there since the dawn of humanity. The stories have been passed. This is how humanity has grown. And if we talk about our times, we used to listen to stories from our grandparents, from our parents as well. And this, it, I think it's in our genes, and it should be passed on to every generation. But with the boom of technology and the generation that we have right now, it's completely hooked to technology as well as to videos, right? Even people like us in 30s and 40s, 50s, everybody is hooked to videos. But that screen time, it hampers the development of the child. It affects them, and it's not immediate effect, but it's a long term effect. And I understand that, I know that, and every parent would tell me, what do we do now? Like, what is the solution? If we don't show them YouTube, what do we show them? Like, I'm busy, mothers are busy, they're busier these days. How do we engage the child? So that's when I thought that, what about audio platform? Child is not engaging his eyes, right? In fact, he's listening to the story, he's making up his characters. In his story, the character, even if it's a hero, it's a villain, everyone, they choose the dress. Even the dress, what kind of colors they are wearing. If you look at Chota Bheem, the video, there is a set image of Chota Bheem. You will never be able to imagine Chota Bheem in a different avatar, right? Because that's the illustrator's imagination. That's not the child's imagination. But if that story had been told through an audio platform, every child would have a different theme. That's the power of audio storytelling.
So, according to you, is audio stories better or reading books?
Oh, well, that's a wonderful question, I would say. I think they are equally important. They have their own merits. Demerit to koi hai nahi. I don't think there is any demerit in any of them. When you read books, uh, you are focusing not just on your listening skills, right? You are actually developing a reading skill as well, right? So I would say, when you read books, first of all, you develop an additional skill, and that's a reading skill. You are getting the story from both the platforms. You are getting the story, yeah, whether it's audio or it's reading book. When you read the book, you first of all, you go at your own pace. That is very important. A child may decide to shut the book and read it again after some time. The child is going with its own pace. Audio storytelling, obviously, the narrator is telling the story. We are telling the story at our own pace, at the pace that we are comfortable at, or we believe that the child is comfortable at. But as far as imagination is concerned, I think both are equally good if the book is not just a picture book. There are illustrations in books. So children are definitely, before going to the text, they always look at the photos, the illustrations. क्या बना है उसमें, कैसे बना है? So that part is, you can say, it's missing in audio platform. They have their own imagination. I would say, if I have to choose between two, I cannot choose. But I will always, because I'm a bookworm. So I would say I will always keep, I will always give 1 point more to book reading than audio.
So, can you explain us the art of storytelling?
See, everyone is a storyteller. First of all, these days we we say that storytelling is a profession. I am a storyteller, he is a storyteller, or this person is a storyteller. But every human being has this in his genes. That's how we have survived for millions of years. Art of storytelling, yes, when it comes to art, that's where some people prevail, right? Because we know how to connect with the audience, how to connect with the listeners. Uh, the, I think two and three most important things are there in storytelling. The first one is understanding the audience who is listening to you. Do you understand your audience? That comes first. I can go into detail, but I'm sure like we don't have that much time. But understanding the audience is very important. Second is voice modulation. If you go bland and flat, it will be less impactful. The third one is the pauses, where you take a pause. What is your body language? These all factors, they come in the art of storytelling. But the first one and the foremost is, if you do or do not understand who you are telling the story to. That's most important.
So, do you prefer mythological or modern stories?
Stories are stories. I mean, as far as preference is concerned, I have not delved much into mythological stories yet. I have done only a few mythological stories, but I believe that they resonate with a wide range of audience. Mythological stories, especially in the past 1 year, they have boomed. As far as modern stories are concerned, I won't say modern stories. I always also believe that uh, realistic stories, stories where the characters are from the real world, from our world, they always strike best. So I would go with the third option, which was not there, the realistic stories, the real life stories.
How does your daughter help you to make these audio stories, and what difficulties do you face while like taking her in the audio?
No difficulty. There is never a difficulty in casting my daughter in recording and storytelling. I think she was the reason how I started, why I started. So I think she has always been a positive reinforcement for me, because she keeps telling me, when will the next story come out. So I think that was a motivation for me to keep writing stories. As far as casting her, making her, giving her some part, some role, and then telling her to record the stories goes. Uh, she grasped things really well. People have told me that she's better than you, so I would take their word that yes, she learns well and she does well. So it has never been a challenge. I think the only challenging part was me, because mothers, they get, their anger gets shut up easily, right? So the child is never a problem, it's always the adults.
What is the technical knowledge required for this storytelling in the podcast?
Technical, I think the only thing you need is that you should know what kind of software you need to use for editing, for recording. The other thing is we need to know the equipment, the right equipment, which includes a good microphone, and a good headset. And then, of course, the software is important as well. This much, and anyone can start it. It's if you know how to operate a computer, you can do it. It just needs some patience to learn things. That's it.
What qualification is required to become a storyteller?
Qualification. You need to have empathy. Yeah, I think that's it. You don't need degrees for that. No degree is required for that. The only qualification is you need to have compassion and empathy. If you have that, you can tell any kind of story, even the murderous ones.
Uh, can you tell your podcasts are available on what platforms?
Storyteller is available on all the platforms you can think of. It's available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Ghana, JioSaavn, and Apple Podcast, many others actually. So it's
Do you
there.
have to pay the fees to these platforms to do the?
No, 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 no. We don't pay anything to them, and they don't pay anything to us. it's it's like that. So yes, nothing.
How much does an average storyteller earn?
Storyteller. Okay. I think. See, it's a difficult question in terms of generalizing things. Why? Because people do it at many levels. I started it as a passion and I never charged anything for anything. Like even today, when I write stories, I post stories, I haven't made a single penny out of it. That's how podcasting is done. As far as the physical storytelling is concerned, I mean it's difficult to tell you. Like it depends on how many children are attending. It also depends on what kind of platform you are using for storytelling. If you are taking general storytelling session, it's okay. If you have some thematic storytelling, and if you are doing it at a particular venue, then of course, I mean, you can get decent amount. But yes, it's not a very lucrative thing that you can look to. If you want to earn money, go to IT field. Don't go to creative field.
So, will AI be of any use in storytelling?
I don't know. AI can be of use in storytelling, audio storytelling. Yes, it can be of use. It can help you create your creatives, story creatives, posters. As far as the voice is concerned, I think that's a threat rather than a help, because people they can actually imitate your voice so well these days. They can tell a story in your voice. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing that you are replacing human resource with AI. And I still feel that if you are good at your work, especially because we are talking about storytelling, if you are good at your work, AI cannot replace you. AI is AI. AI can never come up with the quirky things that you add to your stories, with the emotions that you add to your stories, right? They can only narrate them. Narration is different from storytelling. So I think yes, as far as narration is concerned, AI can take over the humans. As far as storytelling is concerned, they cannot.
So, how do you face the competitors while doing storytelling?
I never thought I had a competitor. I never thought I had a competitor because Storyteller is a children's platform, and people were actually not paying attention to children for a long, long time. I think recently only a few podcasts, few stories they came which are meant for children. I have never considered anyone a threat, though many have considered me a threat, and I'm happy with that. See, I have a different style. I know one thing for sure. I don't want to sound, very audacious about it, but it's my belief that there are things that I believe I do, which not many people can do. And till the time you keep doing the good stuff, you don't consider anyone a threat. Everyone is trying their best in their way, you know, to reach more and more audience. I'm very relaxed about it. I never think about numbers. So I think that's the best thing.
Would you like to give some suggestion to new storytellers?
New storytellers. New storytellers. Yes, I mean, don't tell other people's stories. Make your own stories. The story that you write yourself will always be far, far better than when you tell other people's stories. Or, classics are okay. I mean, I think everyone tells classics. So, but you need to practice. And something is, I would say that a few things, a few techniques, and a few skills, they are, you know, they are very specific to people. But there are so many things, at least 90% things in storytelling that can be learned, right? So you need to be willing to learn, and don't come to this field or don't think that this field is going to make lots of money. If you're money minded, go to some other field. Storytelling is about passion. Storytelling is about satisfaction. If that's your aim, please come. Practice, practice, practice with as many audiences as you can. You will shine.
So can you summarize this discussion?
Summarizing is well. I'm not going to say that go and listen to Storyteller. It's up to you. You can go and you can listen to Storyteller. And the only thing is, I think children deserve good stories. As adults, we have this obligation that we give good stories to children, and not just good stories, we just tell stories to them. Telling stories is an obligation on us, and parents are busy these days. All the adults are busy. I understand that, but this is something that should never be missed. And if you really want to take off your children away from the screen, if you want to minimize the screen time, then yes, the audio storytelling platforms, podcasts, they are a good um, I would say an alternative, and you can go towards that. If you yourself are interested in storytelling, then read good stories, try to make up good stories, and the stories that you have written yourselves, they are going to resonate best with the audience. So I think, yeah, yes, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so thank you for joining us in this interview and spending your precious
Thank you, Lavanya. Thank you for having me on your show.